Hello students, I welcome you all to today's class. Today we will talk about the lymphatic system. Human body is an arrangement of billions of small living units known as cells. Each cell requires a constant supply of oxygen, nutrients, water and right temperature. These cells are further organized into various systems. In fact, all systems of the body are interconnected. One of the systems of the human body is the lymphatic system. Let us explore about this system. The lymphatic system consists of series of fine vessels spread throughout the body. These vessels drain a fluid called lymph. Lymph is a colorless fluid containing white blood cells which bathes the tissues. It is also known as interstitial fluid or tissue fluid. Actually, as the blood passes through the capillaries in tissues, some water along with many water-soluble substances move out into the spaces between the cells of tissues. This forms the lymph or tissue fluid. Somehow, all of the lymph has to end up somewhere, so it has to be recirculated. The lymph capillaries and vessels pick up the lymph fluid and start pumping it away from the cells. Lymph vessels do not have an active pump like the heart. Instead, they have one-way valves only. In our body, there are many lymph vessels as blood vessels and capillaries. Lymph circulates through body tissues, picking up fats, bacteria and other unwanted materials, filtering these substances out through the lymphatic system. The lymphatic system can sometimes be used as a diagnostic tool to help doctors understand a disease. So this system is of great importance. Lymph contains white blood cells, protein molecules, salts, glucose, urea and other substances. RBCs and platelets are not present in the lymph. Most of this fluid flows through a system of fine, thin-walled channels that form lymphatic system. So morphologically, the lymphatic system can be defined as an interconnected system of spaces and vessels between body tissues and organs through which lymph circulates throughout the body. Let us see how these spaces and vessels in the form of
lymph nodes
and ducts are arranged in our body.
The lymphatic system consists of lymph capillaries and lymph vessels, lymphatic ducts, lymph nodes. Lymphatic capillaries originate as thin hair-like structures in the interstitial spaces between cells. These capillaries join together to form larger lymphatic vessels. The walls of these vessels are thin and more permeable than the walls of blood capillaries that are similar in structure to veins but are thinner than veins. Like veins, they have valves to prevent lymph passing back into the tissue. All of the lymphatic vessels eventually converge into some ducts. A lymph duct is a great lymphatic vessel. There are two
major lymphatic ducts
in the body. The right lymphatic duct
and a lymphatic duct which is commonly known as thoracic duct.
The right lymphatic duct drains lymph from the right
upper lip,
right side of thorax and right halves of head and neck, whereas the thoracic duct receives lymph from the left side of the body as well as the lower right side. Lymph nodes are small masses of the tissue located along the network of lymph vessels. In addition to the vessels, ducts, and nodes, the lymphatic system also involves a number of organs and tissue masses like spleen, thymus, bone marrow, adenoids, and tonsils. In humans, approximately 3/4 or 2.83 liters of lymph is returned to the heart every day.
One of the major functions of the lymphatic system is to collect interstitial fluid from body tissues and return it to the blood. This process is crucial because water, proteins and other substances are continuously leaking out of the blood capillaries into the surrounding body tissues. If the lymphatic system did not drain the excess fluid from the tissues, lymph would build up in the tissues, causing infection. We also said that the lymphatic system acts as a defense system. It is so because it helps in defending the body against germs that may cause illness in our body. Actually, germs are filtered out into the lymph nodes. The lymph nodes have lymphocytes, a type of white blood cells. These lymphocytes make antibodies. These antibodies fight against the germs and stop infection from spreading. Thus, disease-causing germs are trapped in these lymph nodes. Now let us see, how does lymph look like?
Lymph. Lymph is a fluid similar in composition to blood plasma, but has less protein content than plasma. Actually, lymph is derived from blood plasma. In other words, we can say that lymph is filtered blood plasma. It is transported throughout the body in tubes known as lymph vessels. It is a clear, watery fluid which acts as a link between blood and tissue fluid. It contains a fluid part, plasma, and white blood cells like lymphocytes. However, like blood, lymph is not pumped around the body. Its movement depends on the movement of muscles, breathing, and gravity. Lymphatic vessels accompany veins and arteries and are often found superficially. Lymph contains lymphocytes, a type of white blood cells that fight against infectious germs. As you were told earlier also, that these lymphocytes attack the germs by secreting antibodies, which enter in our body and thus protect us against diseases.
Students, this lymph fluid continuously flows out of the thin walls of the capillaries into surrounding body tissues, where its proteins, minerals, and other nutrients provide nourishment to the tissues. As you know that the lymph is a clear watery fluid and resembles the plasma of blood. Some scientists consider this system as a part of the blood circulatory system because lymph comes from blood and returns to blood. Let us learn more about lymph capillaries and lymph vessels.
Lymph capillaries. These are small, thin-walled tubes which are present in nearly all the body tissues. Each vessel is lined by an endothelium. Endothelium consists of a layer of thin and flat cells. Approximately 70% of these are placed superficially, located near or just under the skin. The remaining 30%, which are present deep in our body, surround most of the body's organs. As shown in the animation, pressure from the fluid surrounding the capillary forces the cells to separate for a moment to allow lymph to enter the capillary. Then, the cells of the wall close together. This does not allow the lymph to leave the capillary. Instead, it is forced to move forward. The lymphatic capillaries gradually join together to form lymph vessels. Like veins, lymphatic vessels have one-way valves to prevent any backward flow. These lymph vessels are approximately 2 mm in diameter. As told earlier, the lymph, which is a clear, watery fluid, is transported through these lymph vessels. Unlike blood vessels, lymphatic vessels only carry fluid away from the tissues. They collect excess lymph from the tissues and carry it back to the blood. Lymph vessels also remove and transport damaged cells, bacteria, cancer cells, and other foreign material that may have entered the tissue fluids. The lymphatic vessels converge into ducts. There are 2 lymph ducts in the body: the right lymphatic duct and the thoracic duct. Lymph from the right upper limb, right side of thorax, and right halves of head and neck flows into the right lymphatic duct. The right lymphatic duct empties the lymph into the right subclavian vein. The thoracic duct receives lymph from the left side of the body, as well as the lower right side of the body. The cisterna chyli is a dilated region of the thoracic duct. It receives the right and left lumbar lymphatic trunks and the intestinal lymphatic trunk. The cisterna chyli drains lymph from the abdomen. The cisterna chyli temporarily stores lymph as it moves upward from the lower areas of the body. Now let us see how lymph nodes connect these ducts. Lymph nodes. Have you ever noticed small bead-like glands present in armpit, throat, groin, etc.? We generally cannot feel them. They may get swollen and become painful whenever there is any infection in our body. It is the role of these nodes to filter the lymph before it is returned to the blood vascular system. A number of efferent lymphatic vessels enter the node and disperse the lymph into the lumen of the node. The size of each lymph node is approximately 2 cm in diameter. Several afferent lymphatic vessels bring in lymph and percolate it in the lymph nodes and then drain it out by an efferent lymphatic vessel, as shown here in the visual. Meaning, afferent lymphatic vessels carry unfiltered lymph into the node. Here, waste products and some of the fluid are filtered out. Efferent lymphatic vessels carry the filtered lymph out of the node to continue its return to the circulatory system. Lymph nodes are full of lymphocytes and macrophages. which are held in place by connective tissue.
Some of the functions of lymph nodes are
To filter pathogens from the lymph, provide lymphocytes for the blood, and produce antibodies.
These lymph nodes are located at intervals along the lymphatic system. Because of their position, each lymph node becomes an important part of your immune system. The lymph nodes filter fluids, catch viruses, bacteria, and other unknown material. Students, you must have observed that during illness, when you visit a doctor, the doctor often looks for swollen lymph nodes in areas where lymph nodes are abundant, like the neck, around the collarbone, the armpit, and the groin. It is in these lymph nodes that the waste material is filtered out, and this is why the lymph nodules become swollen when there is infection in neighboring tissues. Students, let us now try to understand the working of the lymphatic system.
Working of lymphatic system. As you know, the lymphatic system works as a drainage system. It returns water and proteins from various tissues back to the bloodstream in the form of lymph. When lymph leaves the interstitial space, it travels through the lymphatic vessels to the heart and into the bloodstream. Approximately 90% of this tissue fluid moves back into the blood capillaries and is carried away as a part of the venous blood. The other 10% is drained by the lymphatic capillaries that surrounds the blood capillaries. The lymphatic vessels located between the valves contract rhythmically, propelling the lymph along. When this happens, debris and foreign particles, mainly viruses and bacteria, are able to proliferate because they are not being phagocytized and washed away.
So students, you saw how lymphatic system is important in us. It serves many important functions for the proper functioning of our body. Although the main function of the lymphatic system is to collect and transport tissue fluids from the intercellular spaces of all the tissues of the body back to the veins of the blood vascular system, there are other important functions too. Let us understand these functions through visuals.
The lymphatic system plays an important role in absorption of digested fats. Digested fats in the form of fatty acids and monoglycerides are absorbed through lymphatic vessels known as lacteals present in the villi of small intestine. Most of the lymphocytes, a kind of white blood cells, are manufactured in the lymph nodes. We know pathogens in our body are detected and removed by lymphocytes. Once a foreign microorganism has been detected, the lymphocytes in the lymph nodes start making antibodies against the antigen present in that microorganism. These antibodies fight against the germs and stop infections from spreading. Thus, disease-causing germs are trapped in these lymph nodes. The lymphatic system also works with the circulatory system to deliver nutrients, oxygen, and hormones from the blood to the tissue, especially large molecular compounds such as enzymes and hormones. These molecules are transported through this system from their manufactured sites to the bloodstream. So, the lymphatic system is important for the distribution of fluids and nutrients in the body.
So students, you saw what actually the lymphatic system is doing inside our body. It plays an important role in the body's immune system. Thus, it is increasingly becoming the focus of research in recent times. Before concluding this topic, we will quickly go through some of the important facts about lymphatic system. So let us now check these facts.
Some important facts about the lymphatic system. In humans, the lymphatic system was discovered by Olof Rudbeck in 1651. Did you know that the lymphatic system is twice the size of our circulatory system? Twice as much lymph as blood is present in our bodies, and we have twice as many lymph vessels as blood vessels. There are over 600 lymph nodes in our bodies. Major areas where lymph nodes are present in groups are sides of the neck, the armpit, and the groin. Lymph constitutes 80% of the body fluid. Blood supplies the remaining 20%. Lymph is transported throughout the body in tubes known as lymph vessels. Without lymph vessels, the lymph fluid would accumulate in the tissues and distend them and cause swelling. This condition is known as edema. So, edema is a condition of swelling caused by fluid retention in body's tissues. In addition to the lymph fluid, lymph vessels, and lymph nodes, the lymphatic system also involves a number of organs and tissue masses, including spleen, thymus gland, bone marrow, adenoids, and tonsils.
So students, this was all about our lymphatic system, and with this we conclude our today's lesson. Let us revise what you have learned today. The lymphatic system acts as a secondary circulatory system in vertebrates and plays a crucial role in maintaining body fluid as well as good health. Lymphatic system's major job is to collect extra lymph fluid from body tissues and return it to the blood. The lymphatic system consists of three main components: lymph, lymph vessels, and lymph nodes. Lymph is the fluid in the lymphatic vessels. It is picked up from the interstitial fluids and returned to the blood plasma. Lymph is transported throughout the body in tubes known as lymph vessels. Lymphocytes are a type of white blood cells that fight against infection. Lymph nodes are the enlargements in lymph vessels like beads in a string. The lymphatic system is important for the distribution of fluids and nutrients in the body because it drains excess fluids and proteins so that tissues do not swell up. Lymph nodes and other lymphatic organs filter the lymph to remove microorganisms and other foreign particles. Lymphatic organs contain lymphocytes that destroy invading organisms. So students, enough for today. Let's quickly check with some short questions what you have grabbed today. Be attentive. First question is, what are the major components of the lymphatic system? And the answer is, lymphatic system consists of 4 components: lymph capillaries and lymph vessels, lymph nodes, lymph ducts, lymph. Next question is, how are lymph vessels different from blood capillaries? And the answer is, lymphatic capillaries originate as tiny hair-like structures in the interstitial spaces between cells. These capillaries join together to form larger lymphatic vessels. The walls of these vessels are thin and more permeable than the walls of blood capillaries that are similar in structure to veins. Next question is, where are the lymph nodes located in the body? And the answer is, lymph nodes are located throughout the body. Some are present superficially under the skin, while others are deep inside the skin. However, lymph nodes are more prominent in the neck, around the collarbone, in the armpit and the groin. The next question is, what does the lymphatic system do? And the answer is, the lymphatic system does several jobs in the body. It drains fluid back into the bloodstream from the tissues. It absorbs digested fat. It helps in fighting against infections. The next question is, what is edema? And the answer is, edema is a medical term used for swelling caused by collection of fluid in spaces that surround the body tissues and organs. The next question is, what is the function of lymph nodes? And the answer is, the main function of lymph nodes is to act as a drainage system by absorbing and expelling proteins, dead cells, bacteria and other waste products from the body. Basically, they clean and filter the lymph before it returns to the blood. They are also a major part of the immune system as they produce antibodies and lymphocytes. Hope I have made a successful attempt to clear concepts regarding the lymphatic system. Thanks for your cooperation and attention. Looking forward to the next class. See you then. Thanks.